the most ideal UFC champions in every single weight class, because I guarantee you, some of you guys do not want Bilal as champion. You don't want Merab as UFC champion, and I clearly do not want John Jones as the UFC champion, as I do have the most ideal heavyweight champion right here in Tom Aspinall. Now, some people, the French people, will say, oh, Cyril Gane is the best case scenario for a champion. He sucks. He's got no wrestling. He's got no grappling. Get this man back in to the gym. Go to Russia. Go to Dagestan for a full year and train. Stop acting and actually train. Cyril Gane, you piss me the blank off. Tom Aspinall is clearly the most ideal UFC champion. He's trying to be active. He's taking fights when he doesn't have to. He's the interim champion and he's defending. That's what we like to see. We also like to see finishes. Aspinall is a kill or be killed type of fighter. Now, there's other heavyweights I wouldn't mind being champion. Alexander Volkov, I would not mind him being champion. Sergey Pavlovich, I would not mind. But Aspinall also has a little bit of a personality. Volkov and Pavlovich, we don't understand them. They're from another country. They don't really speak much English. Volkov's got a little bit there, but Aspinall is from England. He's got the accent. He's got a little bit of a personality. He's got the finishes, and he likes to fight. He likes to stay active. He is the most ideal heavyweight champion. Light heavyweight. You thought it was going to be someone else other than Alex Poatan Pereira? You must be getting me wrong. You must be thinking I'm crazy if I'm going to put any other light heavyweight other than Alex Pereira. Who else do we got? Jamal Hill, the Coper of the Year is what I call him. We got Yuri Prohashka, who I would say it right now. I loved him as a champion. I would not be mad if Yuri was a champion, but obviously Alex Pereira is going to be a better champion there. Magomed Ankalaev as a UFC champ, it just doesn't really get me excited. Jan Blachowicz would be a good comeback story. Sure, I want Alex Pereira as champion. There's some other fighters there that would be fine UFC champions, but it's clear. Come on, guys. It's clear Alex Pereira is the most ideal UFC champion. If you ask anybody, who would they want as light heavyweight champion right now? No, I guarantee you, unless you're from Russia, you're a hardcore Magomed Ankalaev fan, unless you're from the Czech Republic and you're really, really a big fan of Yuri, or from Poland and you're a fan of Jan, unless you have those crazy biases, nobody is not saying Alex Pereira is the most ideal champion, because dude is extremely active, he's a finisher, and he puts on fun fights. It's a total package for a champion right there. I mean, he's probably the most ideal champion out of anybody, regardless of weight class. Next one, 185 pounds. Is it Hamzat? Is it Dricus? Is it Sean? I can't click it. It is Dricus du Plessis. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the top 5, top 15. We got Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland as UFC champion, I personally don't think is a fun thing. Again, Sean versus Kyle Bahalio, Nasruddin Imavov, him defending his belt throughout the years. Don't get me wrong, the build-ups to a lot of those fights would be fine and dandy. Sean Strickland in the fight just is not the most entertaining. He's fun on the mic. He says some funny things on Twitter and X and all that. Don't get me wrong. Sean Strickland is really good on the mic. He's really good out of the UFC octagon, and he's a good fighter. Not a very entertaining fighter. We got Israel Adesanya. I hate him. I don't like Israel Adesanya. I do not like him at all. Dricus du Plessis, I like a lot more. I'm just going to end it there. And Israel Adesanya has the potential to put on some boring fights. I don't think Dricus really has potential to put on boring fights. Adesanya does. So that takes off Sean Strickland and Adesanya. Adesanya has the potential to stay at range and Yoel Romero it, Jared Cannonier it, stay at range and fake for 5 rounds. No, Adesanya is not the most ideal champion. Hamzat Chimaev, some people were saying this. Some people were DMing me saying, no, Hamzat is the most ideal champion. Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. The man gets sick from something at least twice a year, and he's out of competition. He gets an injury. He fights once per year. I'm gonna pull up his record really quick on my phone. All right, he beat Robert Whittaker October 2024, Before that, again, October 2023 against Kamaru Usman. Before that, September 2022. And then he was a little bit active during that time, fighting Gilbert Burns also in 2022. But come on, one fight in 2021, two fights in 2022, one fight in 2023, one fight in 2024. Probably going to have one fight in 2025 against Dricus or Sean. The activity is not there. He's exciting. Dricus is exciting. Chimaev's activity is just, that's really hindering him for me to put him as an ideal champ. He's going to fight once a year? No, I don't want him as champion. I'd rather have Dricus. Robert Whittaker, again, would be a fine UFC champion. Again, I just don't think the trash talk is up there to Dricus. Dricus has great trash talk. He builds up fights. And I think Dricus' fights are a little bit more entertaining than Robert. So that takes off the four top guys. Imavov, obviously Dricus would make for a better champion. Then we go down the list. Nobody really compares to Dricus du Plessis as the most ideal UFC champion for me. I don't think anybody plays the role of champion, has those exciting back and forth fights, has the exciting promotion on the way to the fight, the press conference. The lead up to the fight is amazing from Dricus. So he's my ideal middleweight champion. If you notice, they are already champion. We had the most ideal middleweight, the most ideal light heavyweight, and pretty much the most ideal heavyweight. If John will retire already or fight Aspinall, but we're just waiting on that one. Now, we go to welterweight. We're not going to get the champion. We're going to get someone new. And it's one of these two men. It's one of these two men right here. First off, I got to mention, Bilal's activity, not really there. Leon Edwards' activity, not really there. Usman's activity, not really there. And then we had these two guys that, first off, my first point of concern when I want an ideal UFC champion is a guy that likes to fight, the guy that goes out there every few months and puts on a good performance. Carlos Prates, Joaquin Buckley, very, very active. 4 fights this year for both of them. 4 knockouts for Carlos Prates, 3 knockouts for Joaquin Buckley, all fun fights for both of them. They're both putting on fun performances, they're getting finishes, and they are being active. That's all I really want for a UFC champion. They're ranked guys, so I'm not pulling off random unranked guys here. These are ideal champs. They're names right now. Buckley's a big name. Prates is a huge name coming on the rise. Both guys I would not mind at all. I would love them as UFC champion. Of course, Bilal's inactivity was a little bit due to the injury and things like that. I like Bilal as a champion. I think his trash talk is kind of funny. But I think Buckley builds up his fights. Prates doesn't even need to build up his fights because his fights are so exciting and his performances are so great. And I love the activity from both of these guys. So either one of these, I'm going to lean towards Joaquin Buckley just because we haven't really seen Prates' takedown defense. So I think that could lead to a boring fight in the future if somebody's able to take him down. Whereas Buckley, I know his takedown defense is a lot better, which will lead to him defending the takedowns and making better title fights. That's my only argument here, is I'm leaning Buckley as the most ideal champ because I think there's not really much of an avenue I could see boring fights happening for Joaquin Buckley. I just can't. He's going to find a way to get inside and make it a funner fight. If he doesn't make it a fun fight, it's his opponent's fault. Is his opponent's running away or his opponent's trying to clinch? If Buckley has a boring fight, I guarantee you it's not his fault. Then we go on a lightweight. Come on. Charles Oliveira. I was thinking maybe Yoel Alvarez. He's a killer, be killed. All wins by finish, all losses by finish. But Joel, he's kind of moving up to welterweight. Can't really do Joel Alvarez. You could do Dustin Poirier. You could do Gaethje. You could do Islam even. A lot of these guys put on bangers every single time. A lot of people don't like to say it, but Islam Makhachev puts on really, really fun fights every single time he goes out there, which I'm not saying I'm not dead set on the most ideal champion is going to be Charles do Bronx Oliveira, because I'm going to be straight up with you. Charles versus Islam was a really good fight. Islam versus Dustin Poirier was a really, really good fight. And even the fights he's winning in round 1 against Dan Hooker, against Bobby Green, they're fun fights. They're fast, dominant, and conclusive finishes for Islam Makhachev. That's what I want to see. Even the fights where Islam is getting tested, they're fun. They're back and forth. Islam versus Dustin Poirier, not a fight on everybody's radars being the fight of the year. It was a very, very good fight. And I think Islam puts on great, great performances. I do not mind Islam as a champion. I love Islam as a UFC champion, as a dominant champion. And when he does get tested, it makes the fights even better. He's going to get tested versus Arman. He got tested versus Poirier. He's going to get tested more, and they're going to be better and better fights because of that. Again, I don't mind Islam as a champion. I just know Charles, decision, submission, knockout, whatever, win or lose, dude's putting on a fun fight. He's putting on a fun fight. And I know the fans love Oliveira, and he'd be a great champion. Of course, he was a great champion, and if he does become a champion again, he'll be a great champion. So definitely, in my opinion, the most ideal champion, but I think Islam is a very, very good champion. Probably my second or third most ideal champion because he's not wrestling to control. A lot of people think that. A lot of people think, oh, he's a Dagestani guy. He's holding you and he's just tapping you on the ground. Khabib, some people thought he was that guy too. He's trying to finish you with ground and pound. He's trying to maul you. Islam is doing the same thing, but he's not trying to maul you. He's trying to work positions, ground and pound you, and get a submission. He's working for finishes, so it's exciting for me to watch an Islam fight. It's exciting for me to watch a Khabib fight. So Islam, very, very good champion. I love him as UFC champion. Very slightly lean towards Do Bronx as a little bit better ideal champion for the lightweight division. Who else would there be? Arman Tsarukyan, I don't like his trash talk. He's not really a loved guy. He'd be a fine champion. I lean Charles and Islam a little bit more. Gaethje would be an amazing champion. Poirier would be a great champion. Holloway, Dan Hooker, Chandler. I mean, lightweight is such a great weight class. But the fact that you got Oliveira here, who has fun fights no matter where the fight goes, grappling, wrestling, clinch, Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing, whatever, it's a fun fight. It's got to be Charles for me at 155 pounds. Then we got featherweight, and I'm going to go Diego Lopez. Now, my first reason behind Diego and not Ilya seems to be inactive. And I know what you're going to say. Oh, he's fighting Volkanovski and Max Holloway. He doesn't have to be super, super active. Well, I mean, yes and no. But he's talking about fighting immediately after the Volkanovski win, which, mind you, was in October. He was talking about fighting next year at the end of the summer on a rumored Spain card. That's kind of what first made me a little iffy on Ilya being the ideal champion. I love Ilya as a champion. He's a great champion. Holloway Volkanovski wins are fantastic. But the fact that he's saying in October that he wants to fight next, defend his belt or go up to lightweight or whatever, and fight in the end of the summer, which is like June, July, I don't like that. That's almost a year off. July, August, September, October. That's like 9 months off. I don't like how inactive Ilya wants to be. And I like Diego. He's always on call. He's always saying yes to replacement opponents. The Dan Ige situation, fighting Brian Ortega, rescheduling that one, finishing fighters as well. Even if his fight goes to a decision, it's a fun back and forth fight. I like Diego Lopez as champion. I like him for the activity as well. I don't believe Diego's ever going to be the guy that's like, I need to take 9 months off. No, I don't think Diego's that type of guy. I love Ilya's champion. He's every single fight of his, I'm really, really looking forward to. Every single fight, I'm looking forward to Diego. I just think the activity is going to be there a little bit more with Diego Lopez than with Ilya. And there is also the X factor of, is Ilya going to move up to lightweight? Would he really make the most ideal featherweight champion when, he's talking about moving up a weight class? He won't be an ideal champ if he's not going to defend his belt. So I would say Diego Lopez is going to be the most ideal champion. Volkanovski, 100% would have been my pick a year or two ago. I just don't think now that his chin's a little bit washed. I don't know. I don't know for sure if his chin is washed. I mean, he lost to freaking Islam and Ilya Taporia, for God's sakes. But it's getting older. I don't think he's going to be as active as he once was when he was younger, like Diego Lopez is, because he's younger and he's youthful. So I think he makes a little bit better of a champion. Movzar, Yair, Max Holloway's moving up, so it can't be him. Brian Ortega, Arnold Allen. I wouldn't be mad about any of them being champion. I just think Diego makes a big case for him being the UFC featherweight champion, the most ideal guy to fit that role. Then we do have Bantamweight Petr Yan. Petr Yan, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I will say this right now. Nobody is active in this Bantamweight division. Let's look at Merab really quickly here. Okay? Merab fought in September against Sean O'Malley. Now, he's being active because the UFC's really pushing him right here. The fans are really pushing him here to fight Umar Nurmagomedov in January. He's being active in this case. But his plan was to fight in like April, I think. I think he wanted September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. He wanted 7 months off, so that's 2 fights a year. Merab wasn't trying to be active. His fight before O'Malley was in January, or was in, let's pull it up, February against Henry Cejudo. That's a 2 fights per year type of guy. For Merab Dvalishvili. He fought Petr Yan before that, and that was almost a year before the Henry Cejudo fight. Merab Dvalishvili isn't an active guy. He's being forced to be active against Umar Nurmagomedov. Sean O'Malley, I don't peg him as an active guy either. Fought in September against Dvalishvili, fought in March against Marlon Chito Vera, and then August against Aljamain Sterling. Before that, fought about a year before that against Petr Yan. So in October, 4 fights in more than 2 years. Again, that 2 fight per year. Petr Yan's kind of on the same boat. I will admit, Petr Yan's kind of on that same boat of 2 fights per year. Other than his injury that he sustained, I think it was an ACL or MCL tear, he's a 2 fights per year type of guy in the bantamweight division. So I've looked at everyone in this kind of top echelon of the bantamweight division, and activity's really the same for all of them. They're all 2 fights per year type of guys. I think everybody will be a 2 fights per year champion. So I'm going to take activity off the list because it's not an active weight class. And the reason I go Petr Yan is because Merab, he'll have his boring fights here and there. Umar, he'll have a fun fight here and there, of course. Corey Sandhagen fight, I don't think was that bad of a fight, but he has the possibility of, if he does go against a really good striker, he will wrestle. He will hold you. Doesn't make for a super ideal UFC champion. Sean O'Malley, again, I think he's a fun fighter. I think he has the possibility of being in the boring fight like he was with Merab Dvalishvili, where Petr Yan, when he fought Merab and lost, that was not a bad fight. I urge you guys to rewatch Petr Yan Merab Dvalishvili. The fights where he's losing are still fun. Petr Yan losing to Sean O'Malley was a banger. Petr Yan losing to Merab Dvalishvili, I don't think was that bad of a fight, as a lot of people are saying. I really do not. And his wins, amazing. Davis and Figueiredo, amazing fight. Song Yadong, banger. A lot of the other guys have fun fights here and there. I don't know any fights, win or lose, from Petr Yan's that are really bad. Aljamain Sterling might be one of them, but Aljamain would do the same to anybody and make it a boring fight. I think Petr Yan has the highest potential for the best fights at a really high level of striking. Even if he loses his belt, I still think he's the ideal champion because win or lose, getting wrestled, going against a grappler, a wrestler, striker, he will make it a fun, entertaining fight. I think he's the fun, I don't know if it's a word, funnest fighter at 135 pounds. You could look to the unranked section maybe and go, oh, I think Peyton Talbot's the funnest guy. I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to stick kind of to the rankings, the realistic guys that are active, because we don't know. When you're unranked, you could fight 3-4 times a year. You can do that. But once you go into the rankings and you're fighting higher level guys, activity starts to drop because you have to train more. You have to really develop your game and really fine-tune everything if you want to fight often. That's why these higher level bantamweights are only fighting twice a year. But I looked at everyone in the top 15. I don't think anybody would be a better champion than Petr Yan. I don't think anybody would be. So he's my most ideal champion. Then we got Flyweight. Now, Flyweight, I'm not mad with anybody. I'll be straight up. Pantoja is an amazing champion for me. Absolutely amazing champion. He's a finisher on the ground. He's so cardio induced every single fight. He's pushing the pace, making it a fun fight on the ground. He's not holding you. He's not just balaling you. He's not just marabbing you, or he's not doing damage or going for a finish. He's going for submissions, going for ground and pound. and he's trying to make you work. He makes it fun on the ground. I don't have any qualms with Pantoja being champion. Brandon Royval, let's look at his last few fights. Let's take a look. Why he's on this list. Tatsuro Taira was such a freaking banger. Such an amazing fight. 5-round split decision war with Tatsuro Taira, where the grappling sequences there were fun. The striking was fun. Everything about that fight was fun. The Brandon Royval fight was a banger. Pantoja versus Brandon Royval was really, really fun. Royval versus Matt Schnell, fun round 1 submission. Rogerio Bontorin versus Royval, fun. All of Brandon Royval's fights, I can't look at a single one of these. You can go back to Kai Kara France. Brandon Royval was an amazing, amazing fight. I can't think of anything on Royval's record that's not a very, very fun fight. Where we kind of go into issues here and why I'm going to be picking Royval over Manel Kape. Manel did have a little bit of a boring fight with Muhammad Mokaev. That's it. His striking is amazing. He's got fun striking on the feet. I think if Royval's put in the situation where he's fighting Mokaev, he doesn't put on a boring fight. I don't think Mokaev versus Royval is anywhere near as boring as Manel Kape. I think Manel, props to him. All of his other fights, Bruno Silva. Sorry, my phone just fell. All of his other fights are fun fights. I just think Royval has no potential to fight anybody. I'm looking at everybody in the rankings. Royval versus anybody is a fun fight. I can't say that about anybody else. He's relatively active. He's a 2-fighter per year guy. Not on his terms. He wants to fight more. But he puts on bangers every single time. We go to other guys. Brandon Moreno, again, very, very fun fighter. I personally just find Royval a little bit more exciting as of right now. Amir Albazi, no. Just no. Kai Kara France, not really, because again, his fights can be fun for sure. But there's a lot of waiting for those big shots. It's a lot of waiting for those big shots. That's why I kind of feel better about picking Royval and Manel Kape over Kai Kara France. It's like Cyril Gane probably would put on a better fight against a lot of guys. Tom Aspinall probably put on a better fight against a lot of guys than Derek Lewis. So what I'm kind of saying about Kai Kara France is Kai can be in a fun fight, but Royval and Kape with volume and crazy action is going to be a lot more fun than waiting around for that big shot, which is exciting, is fun, but if they don't get it, if Derek Lewis doesn't get it, it could be boring. Tatsuro Taira, great champion, but Royval beat him, and he's got better striking there. He'd be a better champion. I already kind of said Manel Kape, Asul Mabayev, Erstag. Royval is it for me. Royval is my most ideal champion. Manel Kape's number 2, because although, other than the Muhammad Mokaev situation, I think he'd be an amazing champion. He'd be good on the microphone, calling out Kai Kara France and saying the F word and doing all sorts of shenanigans behind the scenes. I wouldn't mind either of these guys, but I lean Raw Dog for sure. That's what I got. Raw Dog. Brandon Royval is the most ideal UFC Flyweight champion. Petr Yan at 135, Diego Lopez at 145, Charles do Bronx Oliveira at 155, Carlos Prates or Buckley, I lean Buckley ever so slightly at 170, Dricus du Plessis at 185, Alex Pereira at 205, and Tommy Aspinall at heavyweight. I didn't make it for the post, but I will say who my most ideal women's fighter is going to be. Kayla Harrison for the women's bantamweight division. For flyweight, I'm going to go Natalia Silva. And for women's strawweight, I'm going to go Weili Zhang. Keep it the same. So, all new people. I think the champion that there is now for women's MMA, not the most ideal champ. I think there's better fighters in the top 5 of all of those 3 weight classes. But that's what I got for you today. First day, January 1st. It's about to be January 2nd. Thank you guys for watching this video. Like and subscribe. Do all that cool stuff. Comment your thoughts on who your most ideal champ in every weight class is. And, of course, pin comment down below to become a member. All of my MMA bets, my ranking for every fighter in the UFC, my prospects outside of the UFC to watch, and so much more. Become a member and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. John Jones, you suck.